Sally and Lily of Shadow Creek, Tennessee. It was the first night of monsoon season in Shadow Creek, Tennessee. The kind of rain that comes straight down and sideways at the same time. The kind that makes you feel like the sky has been holding something back for months and has finally decided to let go completely. Plowed with rain. Kyle was walking fast down the flooded dirt road with his 12-year-old son Tyler running to keep up. The pine trees on both sides bent in the wind. Lightning turned everything white for half a second and then dropped them back into complete black. "Dad," Tyler said, "you know what Mom always says about the first storm of the season?" "I know what she says," Kyle said. "Keep walking. She says Sally and Lily come out." "Keep walking, Tyler." "Who are they?" Kyle grabbed his son's arm and they moved faster. "If you see someone on this road tonight, you say Sally and Lily. Okay, you say those two names. If they answer back Shadow Creek's changers, then they're from town. If they don't say it back, then what? Then you run." Lightning flashed again. Tyler grabbed his father's sleeve. At the far edge of the tree line, beside a massive old oak, a girl was standing. Wet hair plastered to her face. Hand raised. Beckoning. Kyle pulled Tyler close. "Don't look. Don't look back. Run." They ran. The leaves screamed around them. Skull. 100 miles away, two college friends named Jake and Marcus were loading a rental car in Nashville. Jake had a camera. Marcus had a plan that he was correctly describing as a way to make money and incorrectly describing as smart. "Chanterelle mushrooms," Marcus said. "Shadow Creek Forest. First rain of the season, they come up everywhere. I read about it. Rare mushrooms. First rainfall. Right conditions. People pay $300 a pound for these things." "We don't know how to find mushrooms," Jake said. "That's why I downloaded a foraging app." Marcus held up his phone. "Science." Jake looked at the phone. He looked at the darkening sky. He looked at Marcus. "Fine," he said. "But if anything weird happens, I'm leaving you there, face with steam from nose." They drove 3 hours through worsening rain and arrived in Shadow Creek, Tennessee, just as the last light was giving up on the day. The town was small. Gas station, diner, a row of houses where every porch light was on despite it being 6 in the evening. They found a small roadside diner still open and pulled in for coffee and directions. The woman behind the counter was maybe 70, with white hair and the expression of someone who has seen most things and made peace with all of them, except a few specific things that she has definitely not made peace with. "Shadow Creek Forest," Marcus said. "We're looking for chanterelle mushrooms. First rain of the season." The woman set down her coffee pot. "Where you boys from?" "Nashville." "Uh-huh." She looked at them for a long moment. "First storm of the season in Shadow Creek Forest. You know what comes out in the first storm of the season in Shadow Creek Forest?" "Chanterelles," Marcus said hopefully. "Chanterelles," the woman said. "And Sally and Lily." Fearful face. She told them the story while the rain hammered the diner roof and the lights flickered twice, and the two other customers, an old man named Harold and a teenager who had come in for pie, listened without looking up because they had heard this story and they had no desire to hear the parts they'd missed. About 100 years ago, the woman said, two sisters lived in Shadow Creek, Sally and Lily Harmon. Their family was poor, farming family, bad years in a row. First storm of the season, the mushrooms would come up in the forest. The Harmons knew where to find them. Good money. The whole family depended on it. She refilled their coffee without being asked. One season the girls went into the forest alone. Sally was 16. Lily was 13. Their mother told them not to go deep. Told them the first storm was dangerous.
"We'll learn what it feels like. To wait. To be forgotten. To watch the ones you love suffer while you can do nothing. Please," Tom begged, falling to his knees. "Please, I have a family. A son. Please." The woman's smile widened, revealing teeth too sharp, too many. "I know," she hissed. "I've seen him. Little Sam. So full of life. No. No, please don't." But the woman was already gone. Vanished into thin air, leaving only the cold and the silence and Tom alone on his knees in the dirt. His truck's engine roared back to life on its own. Tom didn't waste a second. He scrambled into the truck and drove home as fast as he could, his hands shaking on the steering wheel, his heart pounding so hard he could hear it in his ears. When he arrived home, the house was dark. Too dark. The porch light that his wife always left on was off. Tom ran inside, calling out for his wife, for Sam. The living room was empty. The kitchen was empty. He ran up the stairs, his footsteps echoing through the silent house, and threw open the door to Sam's room. Sam's crib was empty. The window was wide open, curtains billowing in a cold wind that shouldn't have been there. On the wall above the crib, written in something dark and wet, were 3 words, "Too late, Tom." Tom screamed his son's name. He searched every room, every closet, under every bed. His wife was nowhere. Sam was nowhere. The house was empty, cold, and silent. He ran outside into the backyard, screaming into the night, and that's when he saw it, through the trees at the edge of his property, a faint light. A lantern, swaying gently, leading deeper into the woods. Against every instinct, Tom followed it. The light led him deeper and deeper into the forest, the trees growing thicker, the air growing colder, until finally he came to a small clearing. And there, in the center of the clearing, was his wife. She was sitting on the ground, perfectly still, staring straight ahead with empty, glassy eyes. In her arms, she held Sam.
At all. It was the town's old silversmith, a man named Eli Granger. But you moved away 6 months ago. That's exactly what I wanted people to think. I never left. I've been right here, in this cellar. Everyone stood in shock. But the story wasn't over yet. What about everything stolen from people's houses? Travis asked. I took all of it. I started the witch rumor myself. People stayed scared, and I kept stealing in peace. Then Harold's face went pale. With a trembling voice, he asked, "And the woman from 25 years ago, who was she?" Eli's expression changed completely. Fear crept into his eyes. For the first time, he looked genuinely terrified. That's exactly why I started all this. 25 years ago, my mother lived in this very town. People thought she was a witch, because at night, she'd carry 3 clay jars on her head, walking to the next town over to sell water. One night, a group of people mistook her for a witch and killed her. Before she died, she said the truth would come out one day. When I grew up, I learned what had happened to her. I wanted revenge. I brought the jar woman's story back so the town would be afraid, so they'd understand how dangerous rumors can be. But over time, the greed took over. I started stealing. Everyone fell silent. It seemed like the mystery was finally solved. Then, suddenly, a woman's voice came from inside the cellar. Eli, Eli. The voice was perfectly clear. Eli, it's time to go now. Eli's face turned white as paper. No, this can't be happening. A sudden cold wind burst out from inside the cellar, and then everyone saw it. A hazy figure standing in the darkness of the cellar. 3 jars on her head. This time, it wasn't Eli. The figure standing before them slowly began to move forward. Eli screamed in pure terror. No, this can't be, no. A sudden gust of wind swept through. A few seconds later, when the light returned, the figure was gone. But Eli was lying unconscious on the same thing the doctor always said in Darkwater after nights like this. Heart failure. No other apparent cause. His wife was standing in the kitchen, unable to explain anything except that he had heard her calling from outside and had gotten up to answer. His wife had been inside with him all night. At the community gathering that afternoon, Elder James looked older than Ryan had ever seen him look. Now you know, he said simply, looking at Ryan. Ryan didn't argue. He didn't have anything to say that felt adequate to what the night had been. Who was she, he finally asked. Before she was, whatever she is now. Elder James was quiet for a long time. Her name was Clara. She lived here about 100 years ago. Her husband wanted her land, and some of the men in town helped him. They said she was practicing witchcraft. Took her out to the old well at the edge of the property, and he stopped. She called out for help the whole time, and nobody came. Nobody opened a door for her. The afternoon was still and hot. the way Louisiana afternoons always are. She said before she died. Elder James continued, that one day this town would hear the people they loved most calling out to them, and they would open their doors, and they would understand what it felt like to let someone in who meant them nothing but harm. Ryan looked down the empty street. Is there any way to end it? Maybe, Elder James said. She was wronged. The wrong was real, but the people who wronged her are 100 years gone and can't answer for it. What keeps her here is what keeps most things here. She's still waiting for something that will never come. An apology, an acknowledgement, something. He shook his head, and we keep giving her power every year by being afraid. Ryan thought about that. You're saying our fear feeds her. Every year we lock ourselves inside and tremble. We remind her she still has power. And she does. The old man looked at him. But a man who is afraid has passed. The sky was clean and blue and extremely innocent looking given what it had been doing 12 hours earlier. Shadow Creek looked like a normal small Tennessee town. People were walking dogs. The diner was making pancakes. The woman behind the counter saw them come downstairs and nodded once. The nod said you made it without saying anything. We're heading back, Jake said. Good idea, she said. She put 2 coffees on the counter. Those your mushrooms in the hall? Yeah, Marcus said. She looked at the bag. She looked at him. Those are good ones, she said. You can take them. They're safe. Mushrooms that grow outside the forest are fine. It's the ones that grow at the mouth of the cave that you don't want. What's wrong with those? Nobody knows, she said. But people who've eaten them have gone back to the forest the next year. On the first storm. Alone. And stood at the tree line. Waiting. She said it the way she said everything. Plain, factual, the specific tone of someone giving you information you need rather than information you want. Marcus did not eat the mushrooms. He left them on the counter. He told her she could have them. She said she would give them to Harold, who knew what to do with them. They drove out of Shadow Creek in the early morning with the windows down and the Tennessee air coming through clean and cold, and Marcus didn't say anything for about 40 minutes. Then he said, Jake. Yeah, I heard my name again. In the room. Last night. Jake kept his eyes on the road. I know. I heard it too. From where? I don't know. Silence for another 10 minutes. Then Marcus said, she looked like she'd been waiting 100 years. That specific kind of waiting. Not angry. Not sad. Just waiting. Like she'd decided she had time. That's the part that gets me, Jake said. The patience of it. Marcus nodded. He looked out the window at the Tennessee hills going past, green and wet from the night's rain, ordinary and beautiful. Not going back, Marcus said. No, Jake agreed. We're not going back. They drove. Nashville appeared eventually the way cities do after long drives. First as a glow on the horizon, then as lights, then as the specific density of sound and movement that means you are back in the world that runs on coffee and schedules and explanations. Jake dropped Marcus at his apartment at noon. Marcus went inside. He put his bag down. He took a shower. He made lunch. He was washing the dishes when he realized his hands had stopped moving. He was looking out the kitchen window at the street below. It was still technically the first day of storm season. One storm counts as the season. On the street below, partly visible between 2 parked cars, a girl was standing in a white dress, looking up at his window with the specific expression of someone who has been waiting for 100 years and has just realized they don't have to wait in Shadow Creek. Marcus closed the blinds. He sat down on his kitchen floor with his back against the cabinet and his phone in his hand. He thought about calling Jake. Then he thought about what he would say. He thought about what the woman at the diner had said. The ones who come back aren't quite right for a while. He had come back. He hadn't been inside the forest. He hadn't followed her. He had said the words. He had run. He told himself all of this. The blinds stayed closed. His phone lit up. Text from Jake. Don't look out your window tonight. Marcus stared at the message. He typed back. Too late. Already looked. Jake, did you say the words? Marcus, yes. Jake, did she answer? Marcus looked at the closed blinds. He looked at the kitchen door. He listened to the apartment building around him, the ordinary sounds of people living their lives, the specific peaceful noise of a Tuesday afternoon in Nashville. He typed, "No." She didn't answer. He put his phone down. He sat on the kitchen floor for a long time. Outside, somewhere in the city, the first storm of the season was still technically in progress. The blinds stayed closed, and Marcus sat very still and waited for something he couldn't name and hoped, with a specific and quiet and genuine hope, that whatever was patient enough to wait 100 years in Shadow Creek Forest was not patient enough to follow two college friends all the way back to Nashville. Plowed with rain. The end ghost.